Welcome to Real Health with me, Karl Henry. Folks, today on Real Health we're joined by Dr Niamh Clarke, Principal Psychology Manager with the HSE and the presenter of the new HSE Balancing Stress programme. It's a free 6-part online series to help people understand stress, manage anxiety and worry, improve mood and build long-term emotional resilience. Dr Clarke brings decades of experience in clinical psychology and a passion for empowering people with practical evidence-based tools. We are delighted to have her with us. We're all stressed. We all need some help. And Dr Niamh Clarke is here to help us. How's it going?
I'm delighted to be here and thank you so much for having us here. The HSE are thrilled and I'll do my very best to de-stress the nation when I'm here with you this afternoon.
You've a lovely voice for de-stressing.
Maybe that comes with being a psychologist or maybe simply just being a mum who's got to keep a house calm. I have a son today doing his finals and we were up very early this morning dropping to trains and things like that, and I find that the calmer you can be, the more calm people around you. So maybe it's years of conditioning, that voice of mine.
Yeah, you have a lovely voice. You have a lovely voice. Just I'm relaxing even talking to you. It's great.
Ah, well, good.
We are pretty stressed, aren't we, on a societal level? I know, with clients, I've never seen people as overwhelmed as they are now when they come in the door. They are absolutely at burnout / breaking point, whether it's over connection or whatever is pushing it to be that way. But society is pretty stressed out.
Yeah, and I suppose it's probably a shock really when I was investigating this whole principle of stress, even though on a daily basis at work I'm seeing stressed people. But when you look at a nation as a whole, we're doing pretty badly in Ireland, considering, Irish people are so good at putting the best side forward, the best foot forward. But we're ranked 5th at the moment in Europe for the wrong reasons. We're the 5th highest stress nation. And that's shocking. That's just not right. And I think we expect an awful lot of ourselves. And this is what the programme does, is to identify what is stress, how can we unpack it, and what can we do? Because I'm always amazed as a clinician, first and foremost, that we take our mental health for granted. People just hope that it'll be okay. And we're more likely to take care of material things, our house, our home, even our pets, and family and loved ones. We really look after them. But when it comes to looking after ourselves, it's as if we think that's going to happen by chance. And I suppose this programme is all about identifying worry, identifying how stress impacts on us and in our relationships, and then what can we do to improve on it? Because we know that at any given time in Ireland, we're seeing about 68% of the nation over the age of 18 say they're stressed once a day.
68%?
Once a day. They recognise stress in themselves. Now, for some it's transient. It's, missing the train, missing the bus, a difficult encounter at work, a difficult encounter with a child or family member.
Child not getting dressed in the morning.
Yes, and then everything tumbles out of that and the day just goes awry, those 5 minutes. Or, which can happen, the dog getting sick as you're just about to go out the door. But for others, it's cumulative. It's stress after stress after stress. And I think we're awfully hard on ourselves, and this is a real message I want to get across in the Balancing Stress programme. We need to look after ourselves. We need to look after ourselves. And kettle pot, kettle black. As I was stressed to high heavens trying to get in here today, not realising just how difficult it is to get into the city centre.
It is very... we moved to West Cork, right? So I live in Clonakilty. I come up on the train and our listeners, I'm always saying it, I get off at Houston and all I see is a wall of stress. Everywhere I look around me, it's like... And I walk around the city to get to wherever I have to go, and then I walk back to Houston and get back to... Because the traffic is bonkers. And when I come up in the car, which was a few weeks ago, I was blown away by how stressful it was trying to get around the city. It's wild.
Well, I should have spoken to you, Karl, before I came up, because I didn't realise, even on my sat-nav, there was a lot of one-ways that weren't one-ways. Yeah. Now, I gave myself plenty of time, and I suppose with stress, it's unpacking and preparing, but there are some things that just come as curveballs. And I suppose to help your listeners, and which are my colleagues, friends, family, your viewers are people I know, it's about trying to say to them, when you feel something, because stress can be felt physically, and our bodies are really, really good at giving us the first clues. So that might be tension on the shoulders, headaches, backaches, tummy aches, difficulty going to the bathroom too often. Take notice. They're clues. They're little indicators from the body that we need to pay attention. And if they're then coupled with cognitive thoughts, what's going on, your mind is you're beginning to doubt yourself, hard on yourself. We're notoriously good at berating ourselves, notoriously good at criticising ourselves. It's my fault, I'm not doing enough, I should do better, I coulda, woulda, shouldas. If you hear those coming into your thought process, hold it, is what I would say. And then the emotions get all tangled up in that. So the tears come easier, the snappiness with the person that you don't really want to be snappy with. Not that you want to be snappy with anybody, but often it's those who are nearest and dearest to us get caught there. So if we can just take a moment in this busy, busy world, when we know we're stressed, and unfortunately even the lead up to Christmas, this actually increases the stress levels even higher. And it's not specific to an age group, but Christmas is actually, stress in general is not specific to an age group, but Christmas is very specific, predominantly to women and predominantly to those over the age of 45.
Wow.
So Christmas, it can be hard for many reasons. Emotionally, it can be a very lonely time. Very expensive time, very high pressurised time. The Christmas dinner to be on the Christmas
Full of in-laws.
Well, I like my in-laws. So
do I, by the way. Sorry, that wasn't a personal comment.
So the in-laws are just one thing, but it's all the multiple things. It's the dinner, it's the breakfast, it's the presents, it's the family, and you want it all to be perfect.
Now you're there. Okay, so that I do think that is a part of that voyeurism, that sense of perfection, that sense of everyone else has it nailed. Perfect parents, perfect dinner, perfect house, perfect. It's all perfect.
Yes.
And we're all trying to achieve that level. I do think there is something in that, in the society that we live in, that are connected now socially all the time. You're voyeuristically seeing other people's perfect lives, and you're comparing, despairing, trying to get into that.
And it's a disaster. Like, I'm not on Facebook for a reason. And the reason is because I know my friends, my sisters, my family. The perfect picture isn't that one take. That perfect picture is 20, 30, 40 takes. That perfect image has taken hours to construct. And I suppose if you choose to pay attention to those things, or they become the focus, then you're measuring yourself, and it's never pretty how we measure ourselves. So then we need cognitive restructure. So then we do that comparing piece where we're looking and thinking, actually, I don't quite measure up, those too many wrinkles, too much grey hair going on there, not the perfect smile. But if you can actually just come back to yourself, to focus on the here and now, to be present in the moment, and really and truthfully to become a little bit more grateful. Now, I'm not expecting people to immediately be good at being grateful or have gratitude, but it's when something awful happens that people take stock and think, actually, what really matters.
Okay, so what you're saying is to step back, step back from the stress.
Yep.
Separate yourself from the stress. Then to acknowledge it, that it is a problem, that it's problematic, but also to acknowledge and be thankful for what you have around you, and use that as a tool to disarm the stress.
Yeah, and that's a lovely way of summarising it. And in the 6 sessions, I suppose we tackle a different topic every time. So the first session is in general. So what is stress? Because people tend not to pay attention to the physical symptoms. And
some stress is good.
Oh yeah.
Like every time I come into this studio, I get stressed.
Yes.
And if I didn't, I'd be really worried.
And
that'd be, for me, would be a sign that something's wrong. I get nervous. I'm interviewing people. We've got 2 or 3 people in the production room who are watching it, who are listening to everything that we do. The views, the listens that we get. This is a stressful environment. But if it wasn't, that would be odd. And the stress enables me to ask you these questions and to not, to fluff my lines or to muck it all up. So that's good stress.
Yeah, and there is, and that's a very important distinction. We need a certain amount of stress in order to empower us, to move forward, to challenge us, to go that extra mile. to push us to do things that might be slightly outside our comfort zone. So a small amount of stress, and as you say, even positive things like going on holidays, that causes people immense stress.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and the pending birth of a baby, while absolutely phenomenally brilliant, it does cause stress. So good things cause stress, but it's the negative things that I suppose I'm focusing in on. And I do make that distinction in the first session, that a small amount of stress, you know, our poor exam students need a little bit amount of stress. All our sports people need a little bit amount of stress in order to push them on, to drive them forward, to enable them to take action.
Do you think we were better at dealing with stress years ago? Is there, like, I remember when I was my leaving cert, a phenomenally stressful time.
Yep.
Horrendous.
Still is,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But that we were potentially, that was just a part of growing up.
Yeah.
You were going to be really stressed, and you knew you were, and that's just how it was. And there was no attempt to make it easier or to buffer it, or it was just one of life's stepping stones.
And unfortunately, there is a perception that because social media has a huge part to play in this, expectation has a huge part to play in this, we do expect life to be good, because what we're being bombarded with on a daily basis is that it's better out there, it's wonderful over here, just step over here, it's even better. But actually, part and parcel of life is encountering difficulties, and you know, we all need those in order to grow ourselves, grow our resilience, challenge us. But the stress that we're looking at in the programme is that repeated overstress and the repeated small amounts that are tipping us into unwellness. And what I'd say to you is that there are small things that we can do, but we need to do them consistently. And things that we take for granted, like people say, oh yeah, she's probably going to refer to sleep, diet, exercise.
No, we talk about them all the time here. People are well used to it. Yeah.
But they're important.
Of course they are. They're crucial. Yeah.
They're crucial. And when I say to you that, you know, taking 5 to 10 minutes, and people say, what would 5 to 10 minutes do? Scientifically, we know psychologically that spending 10 minutes on yourself, now, that's not scrolling on the phone. That's not putting in an extra chore, an extra task. But if you like doing something, whether that's staring out a window, talking to your dog, it doesn't matter what that is that's good for you, do it.
We struggle with that, don't we? That level of, we've chatted with some guests over the last year or so around that we struggle with being bored now.
Yes.
We struggle with that level of disconnect, because we're always connected all the time. And 10 minutes to disconnect is actually a really difficult thing to do, but we know the health benefits of that are huge.
The health benefits are huge. And what we're doing is we're conditioning our brain to stimulus, non-stop stimulus. And it's actually not our faults then that we're bored or we get a low mood drop when we're not stimulated. We've conditioned ourselves, and society is doing that. And people are getting rich from making us overstimulated. But we have to practice downtime. We have to practice taking a step back. And this is where we're struggling as a nation, that we think, oh, what good would that little piece do? What good would that piece of being grateful, the gratitude journal? Or another one I'm really, really positive about is, and you probably know about this from all the guests you have, is embracing positive psychology. Yep. We're very good, as a clinical psychologist, we're very good at identifying weaknesses, identifying challenges, but we're not really good at identifying strengths. And as a human being, you know, we've characterized globally that there are 24 character strengths that people all over the world have. And when you look at those 24 character strengths, and these are looked at in session 6, I can identify between 5 and 7 that are actually me. And if you're struggling to do that, ask a friend. And they'll tell you straight away that you're the curious one.
Because Irish people are bad at that, aren't they? That's like instantly your brain goes to that Americanization of standing in front of the mirror. I'm great, I'm strong, and you know, that's where you go to. Irish society, maybe not so much. We're getting better at it potentially, but
again, it's something we need to work at and we need to embrace. And these are simple things like kindness might be your strength. And I would say have a good look at those strengths, because those strengths are your buffers, they're your armors, but they're your armory, but they're also you. And if you can actually go, okay, I am kind. And with that comes consequences. Sometimes people say you're pushover, you're easily put down, or life can be hard on good people or kind people. But if you own that and say, that's who I am and I'm proud of it. If you're the person who is the strong, silent type, own that too.
So we're saying that, as part of dealing with stress is a self-awareness.
Yes.
A self-check-in of this is what I'm good at and I'm cool with that.
Yes.
And,
and use them and use those strengths. So if you know you're a really good listener, if you know you're a really good learner, if you know you're a really good connector, then play to those strengths and put yourself in situations that actually increase the usage of your strengths, and that will tip the balance from those negative cognitions that we're repeatedly faced with on a daily basis.
Is time and time poverty one of our big stressors?
Yeah, and I hear this phrase, time and time poverty, and it's very apt. But we have the choice to change that narrative. It's not something that's in somebody else's control. We do lead busy lives, and we need to acknowledge that. And I think particularly, and this is not anything to do with our wonderful male viewers here, but I think women are particularly bad at managing time in order to empower themselves. Okay. And in my house, they joke with me, my grown-up children would say, Mom, you'd be busy in an empty room, or we'll put on your head, tombstone, we'll put on it just one more job, because I'll try and fit in one more job. But I have to make the time. So we have the same number of hours in the day.
We're coming back to ownership. It's ownership, acknowledgement, self-knowledge, knowing your strengths, but owning it and saying, driving the car, your
own car.
Yeah.
And saying, beep, beep, get off my bus. If you view your own life as a bus. And when I'm carrying a lot of passengers that maybe I don't need to carry. And we're very predisposed to helping and assisting. Mm-hmm. And that is wonderful. And I hope we never lose that as human beings. We're fast becoming that, because if we become so self-absorbed, then we tend not to notice those around us. But at the moment, we're still holding that balance, but it sometimes comes at a personal price.
Talk to me about the difference between worry, anxiety and stress. It's something that you talk about in the programme.
Yeah. So stress is typically a feeling of an immediate emotional or mental state. So something causes stress, and typically you can identify it. It's a sick loved one. It is work stress. It is a relationship that's not going so well. Without addressing stress, without taking it apart and thinking, hang on, what can I do here? I know I can feel it, I can sense it, and I'm thinking, I know I'm stressed. Without addressing it, it can then tip in to anxiety, which is then where we begin to predict the future anxiously. We begin to worry. We begin to think things aren't going to work out. We worry about the smallest things that we would routinely do. And stress can be the precursor into becoming anxious. But also stress leads then, for some people, it's like a two-way path. It can tip into the low mood. Stress in of itself is manageable if we pay attention, identify it, and put in buffers and strategies to manage it. And that's all the behavioural activation, that is, paying attention to oneself, all of those things. But if it tips into the low mood, and then we can even take that a step more forward, because low mood can be transient and pass. And we all experience unhappiness and distress. But if it tips into depression, and you might say to me, Karl, what's the difference between low mood and depression then? So how do we know what's the difference? Mm-hmm. Depression is more enduring. You don't get a break from it. It doesn't stop. So you get up in the morning and your mood is low. You go to bed at night and your mood is low. And there's very little light. If you're at that stage, or if you're struggling to that level, you do need to talk to somebody. Mm-hmm. You do need to go into the GP. You do need to ask for a referral onwards. The HSE is there. It's free. People talk about long wait lists. Thankfully, for adults, they're better than they are for children presently. Wonderful counsellors out there, as well as psychologists. Ask for help.
Are we better at that than we used to be? My view of the world is that we are.
We are better
talking about it.
Yes, we're better at going to the doctor.
It, yeah.
We're better at going to the doctor, but still an awful lot of people aren't. We're better at saying to a loved one, I think I'm stressed, but then you've got to follow it through. Men are less good at saying it out loud or seeking help. Women are better at seeking help.
Can I ask, if someone goes into the doctor then, so that's whole, if people are worried about what the doctor will say to them, or how that setup might work, and that's one of the reasons that they're not going in. How does that typically look if they go in to the GP and say, look, I'm suffering with low mood, or I'm suffering potentially with depression?
Yeah, and I think GPs, from speaking with GPs as a result of this programme, because we sent it out to all the GPs to say, look, would this be helpful? Would this be beneficial? And what we're hearing back repeatedly from them, that this takes a significant amount of their time. People presenting with low mood, depression, anxiety, and being stressed. And they would say that the people are tremendously hard on themselves, but if it's got to the point where they need medication, that it is important that they seek and ask for help. Most GPs will start off with talking therapies, which is what I'm talking to you about, and this global universal strategy that we've developed in balancing stress is the first step on that ladder. Then after that, it's you're talking to a professional. Then after that, it's your medication. But you bring all of those things with you, and I suppose I would encourage anybody to ask for help.
I think it's a great ladder to talk people through, because maybe a barrier for certain people may be that he's going to prescribe me antidepressants. I don't want to do that. And what you're saying is there's a ladder to that, i.e. the HSE course, talk therapy, and then potentially medication after that.
Yeah, and some people, would prefer immediately to have medication because for some people they believe strongly in the doctor prescribing something. But doctors now are routinely prescribing talk therapy, routinely prescribing self-help. And for some people, they also think, my goodness, am I not being taken seriously? Is that, they're telling me I can fix myself. If I could fix myself, why would I be here? So we've got to pay attention to that as well. And I would say that we need to impress how impactful this is on us. And if the GP says, do this, do this, do this, then truly do this. We're more likely to take the tablet than we are to follow the instructions in a leaflet or join a group. We're less likely to do that, or we'll make time to do other things. So prioritise the prescription that's being given. But first and foremost, in this moment today, prioritise you. And that is not selfish. Life is incredibly short. And I don't want anybody to look back and regret that they worried. And we do know that we spend a lot of time worrying about things that actually won't
never happen, of course.
That won't happen.
What simple tools do you have for people who are listening in who think, I am a bit stressed, actually?
Yeah.
Are there really some simple tools you can recommend for them?
And I would say each session, we've devised each session so it talks about the topic and then gives strategies to help. And then at the end of the session, we were so fortunate to be joined by Professor Alan Carr from UCD.
Oh, yeah.
Alan, who gave his time freely to the HSE and said, look, whatever I can do to help. And there's kind of a chat between Alan and I at each session. But to answer your question, what could we do? There's so many things you could do. And I suppose session 6 is all about building strategies into the future, right down to affirmations. Maybe people don't even know about affirmations, or younger people tend to know more about them. But just even, I know in my Pilates class, recently, my Pilates instructor is now ending the session, the last 5 minutes, with resting, deep breathing, and positive affirmations. And I'm thinking, great, this message is getting out there. Because if we say it and we see it, we believe it. Mm-hmm. But if you look through a negative lens and you will seek what you find. So if you are self-predetermined to see the negative, you will actually find that. So what I would say to people is, it is challenging to change your mindset, but it is absolutely possible. We are born with a negative bias, and that's to keep us safe and well. That's just a given. So we're born with a negative bias, but that stems back from our hunter-gatherers ancestor days where we needed to keep safe. So, high levels of stress around us were really for survival. Whereas now, there aren't so many physical threats. Mm-hmm. It's the psychological threats. It's, I won't get that promotion. Is my loved one in love with me still? Are my children doing okay? Because what I'm seeing out there is everybody's child is thriving and, wonderfully doing things. Mm-hmm. So we tend to surround ourselves by things if we choose to, by that make us compare, and we will always fall short in the comparisons. So each session says take a step, and it gives 3 strategies each session: behavioural activation, looking for the evidence in something. Just because your brain says it doesn't mean it's true. So, and often we would say, what would your best friend say if you were telling them about this? So each session, there are simple tips, but savouring. Even in this moment, I was half dreading coming into you, Karl. I won't be...
Very friendly.
I know you're very friendly, but again, will I be good enough? Yes. Will this be helpful? Will this be useful to people? And I suppose I so desperately want to help people, because we wouldn't have written this program, the HSE Wellbeing, and the psychologists who joined with me all across, and the heads of Psychology Service Ireland really got behind me on this one and with me. We wouldn't have done it if we didn't want to help. And it is not in a patronising way, but in a way that really makes a difference, because you matter, I matter, and as a nation we matter.
Remind people where they can find the programme.
HSE Balancing Stress is on the HSE website. You just literally click on the link. It's free. You can download the link. You can clip in at any session. You can watch the whole thing. From each session is about 25 to 30 minutes long. Or you can look and think, actually, I only want to do building stress, managing stress into the future. I only want to truly understand what stress is, so I look at the first one.
You can pick a mix as you go.
Low mood is mine, or relationships, because they're often, like the body, relationships are the first thing to suffer when we're suffering.
Dr. Niamh Clarke, thank you so much for coming in. Your lovely relaxing voice has relaxed and informed and educated our listeners and our viewers. So thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate it. Folks, that is it for another episode of Real Health with me, Karl Henry. As ever, you know where we are, at Karl Henry PT on Instagram, realhealth@independent.ie, and on the Irish Independent website. Check out the HSE website if you are stressed. It's a really important tool, and there's lots of content there to help. And we'll see you next week. Slán go fóill.